Got the Bhagavatam? Or keep it rolling. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 This morning I'm reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 13, text number
38.
38. Om Vijnana Dasya Gyanam Jala Shalakaya Chakshuramilamena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Mukhaṁ Bodhavatavam Bhangam Vete Gurim Yatkipataraham Vande Shri Gurum Nirataram Yavanchikapatubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Devacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. 38. Atha Jighama. Is that one we're on? 38?
Yes.
Atha Jighama.
Atha Jagama.
Bhagavan Narada Saha Tumburu Pratyuthaya Bhivanaya. We'll try that again. Pratyuthaya Bhivadyaha
Pratyuthaya Vivadayaha
Sanujo
Sanjo
Bhyarchayan
Bhayarchayan
Munim
Munim
Tathajikama Bhagavan
Athajagama Bhagavan
Narada Satumburu
Narada Satumburuhu
Pratyuthaya Vivadyaha
Pratyuthaya Vivadayaha
Sanujo Bhyarchayan Munim
Sanujo Bhyarchayan Munim
Tathajikama Bhagavan
Athajagama Bhagavan
Narada Satumburu
Narada Satumburuhu
Pratyuthaya Vivadyaha
Pratyuthaya Vivadayaha
Sunujo Chayan Munim
Sanujo Bhyarchayan Munim Atha
thereafter Ajikama
Ajagama
arrived Bhagavan
Bhagavan
the godly personality
the godly personality
Narada
Narada
Satumburu
Satumburu
along with his tumburu
along with his tumburu
musical instrument
Pratyuthaya
having gotten up from their seats
having got seats
Abhivadya
Abhivadya
offering their due obeisances
offering their due obeisances
Aha said Sanuja
Sanujaha
along with younger brothers
Abhyarchayan
thus while receiving in a proper mood Munim sage maybe I can get a cup of water warm. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. While Sanjaya was thus speaking, Sri Narada, the powerful devotee of the Lord, appeared on the scene carrying his tumburu. Does anybody know how he got that tumburu?
Krishna gave
it. Therefore it's special. Maharaj Yudhisthira and his brothers received him properly by getting up from their seats and offering obeisances. It's interesting when we see a senior, we don't stand up, we pay obeisances. But that's another way of showing respect, to stand up, offer respect. So, interesting. Different ways to show respect to someone. Purport. Devarsi Narada is described here as Bhagavan, due to his being the most confidential devotee of the Lord. The Lord and his very confidential devotees are treated on the same level by those who are actually engaged in loving service to the Lord. It's like we chant that. Saksadhari Bena Samastasan, spiritual master beyond much as the Supreme Lord himself, because he's the most confidential servant of the Lord. Prabhupada was talking about this. He said, what is that confidential service? Preaching. Because he's doing this very confidential service of preaching Krishna consciousness. He's honored as much as the Supreme Lord. And that's because it's such an important activity. Krishna himself comes and he preaches. He's a good preacher. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes and he preaches. Another good preacher. Good preachers. And 5,000 years later, he's still convincing people to surrender to him. That's potent. That's good preaching. So many people there that I travel a lot, and I quite often I ask, devotees, how they join, and it's amazing. Like maybe 70% of the devotees that I speak to, they join because of the Bhagavad Gita. Myself also. So Krishna spoke it 5,000 years ago, and still so many people are becoming devotees. And also, like yesterday, I was distributing books at Palo Alto, and I was talking to this lady, and she said, "Oh, I always wanted the Bhagavad Gita." Yeah. So actually, I guess she got 4 other books too. And also she was Indian, but a Western. He said, "This is the whole Bhagavad Gita. I always wanted a Bhagavad Gita." It's 5,000 years old, you know. Yeah, we going. He lives here in Palo Alto, in America. And Oppenheimer learned Sanskrit just so he can read the Bhagavad Gita in its original text. I mean, that's amazing. Learned a language, not an easy, probably maybe the most difficult. Chinese might be difficult, more difficult. I don't know. I heard Chinese really hard. But he learned Sanskrit just so he could read the Bhagavad Gita in its original text. Amazing. So, yeah, Krishna is a good preacher. And he likes him when we preach. Such confidential devotees of the Lord are very much dear to the Lord because they travel everywhere to preach. There it is, confirmed. To preach the glories of the Lord in different capacities and try their utmost to convert the non-devotees of the Lord into devotees in order to bring them to the platform of sanity. It's funny. It's like devotees were on book distribution. Or no, they were doing Harinam. This is back in '66. Harinam was just began. No one had done, in the whole country, no one had done Harinam before. So Prabhupada, you know, he would go out to the park and chant, but then he wanted to go out and walk around and chant. So they were doing that. And one time the devotees came back and said, "Prabhupada, the people here in New York City, they think we're crazy." And Prabhupada said, "That's natural, you know. They think we're crazy, we think they're crazy." But the difference is we know they're crazy. As Krishna says, Dehi nosmin yatha dehe kamaram yoja. We understand we're the soul within. They think they're their body. They think there's something that they're not. Just like people go to these insane asylums and they think they're Jesus or Napoleon or, you know, madness. But if someone is thinking that I'm American, I'm Indian, I'm Russian, I'm Chinese, I'm a man, I'm a woman, that's madness because it's not true with the soul within. So we're trying to bring people to sanity. It's not easy. That's one of the symptoms of a devotee, sane. The 26 qualities of a devotee, one of the, he's sane. He understands, I'm not the body. Actually, a living being cannot be a non-devotee of the Lord because of his constitutional position. But when one becomes a non-devotee or non-believer, it is to be understood that the person concerned is not in sound condition. He's not in sound condition of life. Prabhupada would say sometimes if someone was a little intoxicated, Prabhupada would say, he's a little out of order. Out of order, a little off. The confidential devotees of the Lord treat such illusion living beings. They're treating them like a doctor. You know, we go and sometimes when doctors they treat. I had the experience myself. I was at a hospital, and a doctor was treating someone, and the patient actually hit the doctor. You know, because whatever mentally or something. So anyway, he just tolerated. And sometimes on book distribution, we get a lot of no's, or sometimes even it's happened. There's been some physical attacks. So what do? We tolerate it because we're treating them. we're also kind of like doctors. We're trying to give them medicine. You. Confirmed. We're giving medicine. So we're kind of like that. But there's also that saying, doctor, heal thyself. So we also have to have very good sadhana. We have to be good doctors. Otherwise, we could also not be healthy. It's not good. If the doctor is not healthy, it's going to be hard to treat the patient, right? So therefore, good sadhana, that helps us to be good physicians in treating the illusion living beings. The confidential devotees of the Lord treat such illusion living beings, and therefore they are most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. Most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. So many services are being done around the world, but this service is most pleasing in the eyes of the Lord. And therefore it's even said that Krishna says, I'm not in Vaikuntha, I'm not in the hearts of the yogis, but I'm wherever my devotees are spreading my glories. So Krishna is right there on book distribution. And he's encouraging. Sometimes a little difficult, purifying, but that's also necessary. Mm-hmm. We're trying to become good physicians. Sometimes there's a little, disease there. Krishna's trying to, take out that last little disease. False ego is the main disease. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita that no one is dear to him than one who actually preaches the glories of the Lord to convert the non-believers and non-devotees. Well, this is an appropriate verse for me to have. So Krishna, he says, Yahidang Padamanguyam Mad Bhakte Savadhasyaji Bhakti Mayam Param Kritam Momivaisaya Sangsvaya. That anybody who is preaching this message of Bhagavad Gita is most dear to me. And there'll never be anyone more dear to me than that. Never be anyone more dear to me than that person. Because believe it or not, Krishna is feeling some pain. God is feeling some pain. How is that possible? Yeah, just like a father, he has many sons, and some of them go out and just become nonsense rascals. He gives some pain. So Krishna is the father of everyone, and there's so many living entities here suffering. I was just reading about Palo Alto. Palo Alto, this is one of the most expensive places to live in the country, and highly educated. But it's also rated as the fourth highest in youth suicide. Palo Alto, because there's so much pressure on the children getting good grades. If the parents got good grades, you gotta be up there. The pressure, fourth highest in suicide. I guess probably teenagers. So much pressure. Japan also huge pressure. The parents give to the children. Also high suicide. Right? These parents don't know what they're doing. So much pressure, and then they lose their children completely. There's too much attachment. So attached. Good grades, and then good grades comes good money too. So they're also thinking of that. Such personality as Narada must be offered all due respects, like those offered to the personality of God himself. And Maharaj Yudhisthira, along with his noble brothers, were examples for others in receiving a pure devotee of the Lord like Narada, who has no other business, save and except singing the glories of the Lord along with his vina, a musical stringed instrument. So Narada Muni is a very special personality. He is the sage in the Bhagavad Gita. There's the opulences. So Narada Muni, he is the sage amongst the demigods. Sometimes we hear the demigods are Sakama. You heard that? Sakama devotees? Demigods. But they're not all Sakama. Narada Muni is the greatest. He's a demigod. And also, Yamaraj is a demigod, great devotee, one of the Mahajans. Let's see how many of the Mahajans are demigods. Swayambhur, demigod, pure devotee. Swayambhur, Narada, Sambhu, Lord Shiva, Vaishnavaram Yatha Shambhu, another demigod, great Vaishnava. Swayambhur, Narada, Sambhu, Kumara, Kapila, Manu, he's a demigod.
No,
He's a Prajapati.
Prajapati.
Swayambhur, Narada, Sambhu.
Prahlado.
Prahlado, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Vyasakir, Vayam. So some of those Mahajans are demigods. And there's others that are, we don't know. But in general, the Sakama, they have some material desire. We could probably identify with that. So, but Narada Muni, he's amazing. He says, he says that an intelligent person should cultivate utter humility with his thoughts, with his words, and his actions. And anything that gets in the way of that should be rejected. Cultivate. Now, how do you cultivate humility in your mind? Cultivate humility in the mind. It's just like sometimes we want to get respect. As conditioned souls, we like to get respect. But no, we should check that. No, we want to offer respects to others. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya says that this is the devotee should be like that, lower than the shrine tree, more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false proceeds, and ready to offer all respects to others without desiring respect for oneself. All respects to others without, that's the mental humility. Without desire, we have to check ourselves whenever there's some desire to get some respect. We check ourselves. How's that? By chanting Hare Krishna and by hearing this. Helps us to develop this humility. And it's natural actually for us to be humble because how big are we? We're 1/10,000th size of a tip of a hair. I mean, that's small. You know, I mean, we're so small, we can't even see each other. We see our bodies, but we can't see each other. Even with the most powerful telescope on the planet, we can't be seen. We're so small. But then we get these bodies, we get puffed up, proud, we think we're something, but we're very small. So Prabhupada says that the epitome of humility is found in the pure devotee, because he knows I'm small, I'm very small, and Krishna's great. So this is a very nice verse by Narada Muni. He also says, Mahadbir Bhakti Nishtaistan, that's funny Neti Manyate. He says, devotees of the Lord do not think that the services they do are actions under their own control, but they are expressions of Krishna's supreme mercy. This is how a devotee thinks. He doesn't think I'm doing it. He's not the doer. Who's the doer? Krishna's the doer. There's 5 factors of action. You know what the 5 factors of action are? What are the 5? Anybody else know? 5 factors. Right, what are they?
The body, the endeavor, and the place, the doer, and the super soul.
And the senses.
Yeah, body is senses.
Yeah. No, they're different actually. There's the super soul.
Yeah.
Which is the main thing. Doing nothing happens without the thing. So there's the super soul. There's the soul. There's the body. There's the senses, and there's the endeavor. So they're actually different. The body and the senses, they're different. Although one would think that they're the same, but yeah, they're different. So these are the 5 factors of action, but mainly it's Krishna, because as it is said, I think that it's an English proverb that not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of God. So nothing happens without the sanction of Krishna. There's also, in order for there to be action, there has to be also a body. The body is needed, otherwise you can't do anything. And you need senses. You have to be able to speak and to hear and these things like that. And there has to be an endeavor. You can't be a couch potato. You got to get up and do something. You got to act. And of course, there's the soul, but mainly the super soul. So that's a very interesting statement by Narada Muni. This is humility. He doesn't think that it's by his endeavor, by his action, but it's by the mercy of Krishna, causeless mercy of Krishna. And we have to pray for that mercy of Krishna. So we do things nicely. For Krishna, we should live to do things that are pleasing to Krishna. And we live to be corrected. That's also important. We want to do things nicely, but we should actually live to please Krishna. And Krishna, he boils the milk. It's like when you boil milk, then or actually even better example is boiling the butter. Because you boil butter, then the impurities come out and you get pure ghee. Right? So that's what we're doing, especially on Sankirtan. Krishna is boiling the milk to get the impurities out. The impurities come up, right? And therefore, Lord Ma, he says, Tattena Kampam Susamik Samano. The devotees of the Lord, they think that, no, he's always seeking your compassion, thus tolerating all difficulties as being due to his own past activities and always serving you with the mind, body, and words. Such a devotee is eligible to inherit the kingdom of God. So when there's some difficulty, he becomes introspective. What is it I've done? Maybe I offended somebody, or I did something displeasing to Krishna. So he becomes introspective. And he doesn't blame anybody. Sometimes people, they blame. Something goes wrong, they blame God. Why? I'm a devotee. Why is God doing this? Why is Krishna doing this? They blame God. But no. What did I do? Don't blame somebody else. And another very nice verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, Narada Muni, he says, Asantu Sasya Viprasya Tejo Vidya Tapoya Saha. Very nice verse. He says, if one is not satisfied in Krishna consciousness, then one loses his spiritual strength. Spiritual strength is something that is very important. It's relished, actually, to have the strength to serve Krishna. It's something that we should very much appreciate, which also is coming from Krishna. So if one is not satisfied in Krishna consciousness, then he becomes diverted to matter, and therefore he loses his spiritual strength. And I've seen it. When I first joined the movement in 78, there were so many powerful sannyasis, gurus, but they became dissatisfied, and they lost their potency, they lost their shakti, because they weren't satisfied just serving Krishna. Of course, they were put through big tests, like the 11 gurus. We had no other example. Prabhupada, he sat on the big seat. So the gurus, they sat on the big seat. They had to learn through the school of hard knocks. So they were like the guinea pigs. They were the first ones to be gurus after Prabhupada. So naturally, they had the big seat, and everybody else, sat down, and they got all the honor that Prabhupada was receiving. Beautiful ladies, giving their life to them. That's a big test. Money, so much money, thousands of dollars is coming. And these are the big tests, money and women. So they were getting so much. And I don't think I could handle that. You have to be very advanced. And all of them were only in the movement for 8 years, at the most. I think one was in the movement for 11 years. That was the most that any of them were in the movement, 11 years. He was the oldest. And others in the movement for 8 years, 9, 10 years. And then they have all this opulence. And so it can be a little bit bewildering. So to be satisfied in serving Krishna, having all this, also this honor, people are just giving their life to you, everything. So big test. Those are the big tests, and many of them couldn't pass. Some did, some passed. So Tejo Vidya, one loses one's knowledge. You lose one's spiritual strength. One loses knowledge because you become bewildered by the bodily conception of life. As you're trying to find satisfaction in the material world, means you become absorbed in your body, trying to enjoy matter. Tejo Vidya Tapo, one loses one's ability to perform austerity. It's also a blessing to be able to do austerity. Not many people can do it. Now that we have these 4 regular principles, and there's one regular principle that if one does it, he loses austerity, and that is sex life. This is the greatest austerity. It's like Bhishma. He became known as Bhishma because he took that vow. Celibate throughout his life. An unembodied voice said, "Your name is Bhishma." That's big austerity. Gambling, one loses.
Truthfulness.
Truthfulness. Like gambling, yeah, one loses truthfulness. Intoxication?
Austerity.
No, actually, in Prabhupada's books, there's 2 places. Now, one place he says, and I can show you, Prabhupada says very clearly that austerity is destroyed by sex. Cleanliness is destroyed by intoxication. Because I've seen people get off and become alcoholic. They're very dirty. They're dirty on the inside and they're dirty on the outside. People that take intoxication, isn't it? Become very dirty, smelly, dirty. So cleanliness is destroyed by intoxication. Meat eating, what is destroyed by mercy? Yeah. So therefore, we follow these regular principles to be pure. We're trying to approach Krishna. But Krishna is the most pure. If we're not pure, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So therefore, we're trying to also become pure. And Krishna, he is known as that is he who purifies. Vedyam Pavitram Omkar. He's the goal of the Vedas, and he is that person who purifies. In any way we come in contact with Krishna, we get purified, just like we're going to take prasadam. So purified, take prasadam. Hearing the names of Krishna, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, all the things that we do purifies. We say we go to Mangalarti, we see the deities, get darshan the deities, associate with devotees, serve the devotees. All these things help us to become pure. And eventually, hopefully, we'll become so pure within this lifetime. We can go back to Krishna. Possible. Krishna can do anything. He lifted Govardhan Hill, right? I mean, that's a major feat right there. So he can do that. He can purify us too. Yeah. So we just want to serve Krishna. Tejo Vidya Tapo Yasaha. And the last one, loses the reputation. One may have a good reputation, but if one is not satisfied in serving Krishna, he loses his reputation. And it is said in Bhagavad Gita, for one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. Yeah, it's terrible to get so much honor and then to not have that honor. Painful. So yeah, Narada Muni, he's my hero. Such a great devotee. He's in every canto in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Very popular. Spiritual strength, good reputation. So, any question or comment? What time is it?
It's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock?
Yeah.
Oh, it's early.
Can take for 5 minutes. I have a question.
Yeah.
Thank you for this nice verse, bro. The last verse, it's beautiful. I mean, if I am going down in my spiritual life, if I'm not feeling enthusiastic, I can see, if I'm satisfied, if I'm being dissatisfied, or if I'm trying to satisfy my senses more than satisfying Krishna. So it is very nice indicator for myself. Thank you for that verse.
Yeah, there's another verse that's similar. Akinchinasya dantasya santasya samchit maya santu sarva sukha maya. This is a very nice verse, and I think it's spoken by Krishna. One who is free of material desires. That's a big challenge right there. Material desires, they haunt us. All these desires, trying to get free of them. And they come back again. Terrible. So one is free of material desire. What is a material desire anyway? What is a material desire?
Desire to exploit your senses. I mean, exploit the material world for your satisfaction, Krishna's satisfaction.
Yeah. A spiritual desire is a desire where we want to please Krishna, right? That's a spiritual desire. Material desire is where we want to please our senses. Yeah, that's a material desire. Therefore, it said, Sarvapadi Nirmuktam Tatpara and Hrisikena or Hrisikesa Sevan Bhakti. That devotional service means to engage our senses in the service of the master of the senses. And there's two side effects of that. One, our senses become purified and we become free of all material designations. These are two nice side effects. Our senses become purified. In other words, we want to engage our senses in pleasing the master of the senses, Krishna. So that's a spiritual desire. So you want to become free of material desires and cultivate these spiritual desires. Reject, just like Krishna says, apoyamanam jalapatishnam. That one who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires which enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled, but which is always steady, alone achieves peace, and not the person who strives to satisfy such desires. So desires will come, material desires and spiritual desires. Material desires, we let them go. Spiritual desires, don't let them go. Keep on, hang on to them. And we know from reading Shastra, Guru, Sadhu, we know what is material desire, what's spiritual desire. And then we carry on. So Kinchinasya Dantasya, whose senses are controlled. One who controls the senses, they call it a Goswami. Right? It's difficult to be a Goswami. And then one who doesn't control his senses, he's called a Godas. He's a servant of the senses. Kamarinam katina katita palita dorni desas tesum jaka mahina kurana trapa no pashanti. Rupa Goswami says, for so long I've been the humble, menial servant of many bad masters. And what are those bad masters? Lust, anger, greed, envy, illusion, and madness. They've never shown any mercy to me. I've never been ashamed of serving them. But now, my dear Lord Krishna, you've given me transcendental intelligence. So I no longer want to serve these bad masters. Now I just want to serve you. So that's what we want. We don't want to serve the bad masters anymore, or senses, but we just want to serve beautiful Krishna. So Kinchina Siddhantasya Santasya, who is peaceful. Krishna Bhakti Nishkama Ateva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sukhliya Shanta. Devotees of the Lord are very peaceful. Why? Because they don't have material desires. Krishna Bhakti Nishkam, they don't have material desires. But those persons who are desiring material enjoyment, mystic cities, all these things, that they cannot be satisfied because they want. As soon as Prabhupada said, as soon as they say, I want, then it's Maya. Unless you say, I want Krishna, then it's okay. I want to serve devotee. But so many people want so many other things in this world. This is the problem. Consumer society, so many things. And there's so many inventions, so many other things are being invented. Wow, did you hear the new invention? You know, and like now they have the iPhone 15, and then there'll be the iPhone 222 and the iPhone 1560. Where's the end? One little extra thing. Oh yeah, that's it. So Kinchana Siddhantasya Santasya Samachetasa, who sees everyone equally, doesn't see, oh, this is a ugly person, this is a beautiful person, this fool, this is a fat, just like Prabhupada was, a little pastime, Prabhupada was in Chicago. There was one man, he was coming to Krishna consciousness. He was a young man, but he was big, he was very heavy, weighed about 400 pounds or something, huge. And one devotee introduced him to Prabhupada. And Prabhupada said, he said to Prabhupada, pretty big boy, eh, Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, he's no bigger than you are. You're a spirit soul, he's a spirit soul. You're seeing the big body, but I'm seeing the soul. So the devotee is sama, he sees everyone equally, he sees everybody as a soul. Vidya vinaya sambhane and brahmane gavihastani suni chaiva sapaki cha pandita samada. This is the devotee, he sees the brahmana, the cow, the elephant, the dog, and the dog eater, all he sees the soul. And you take that even further. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that one who sees the super soul equally situated in the hearts of all living entities does not degrade himself by his mind. So to take that further, not only seeing the soul, but to see the super soul also, you don't degrade yourself by the mind. It's nice. We're trying to purify the mind, so to see the super soul in all living entities, that's wonderful. So Kinchana Siddhantasya Santasya Samachetasa Maya Santusta, when it was satisfied in serving Krishna, wherever such a person goes, he will only find happiness. It's a great verse. When it's free of all material desires, whose senses are controlled, who is peaceful, who sees everyone equally, and who is satisfied in Krishna consciousness, wherever he goes, he'll only find happiness. Doesn't matter what situation he is. Just like Prabhupada went to New York City, a beautiful Vrindavan. Not the Vrindavan we see now. When Prabhupada was there, there was practically no vehicles. Now it's become mad. Now motorcycles and cars and all this noise, all this music. It was beautiful when Prabhupada was there. And he was so respected. Then he goes to New York City. Yeah. Madness. But he was happy there. because he was never feeling separated from his spiritual master. He always felt the presence of his spiritual master. And the mission, he had the mission. He never forgot the mission. So he's very happy. Narayana Parasarve, Nakuchashanabit, Svarga Pavarganar, Aputu Yasudars. And the devotees of the Lord, they don't fear any condition of life. For them, it's hell, heaven, liberation, it's all the same. Because wherever they go, they're serving Krishna. So Prabhupada went to, they call it Zoo York. You've seen this? Zoo York, not New York, Zoo York. He went to Zoo York, the Big Apple, also the big rotten apple. It's like America. It appears very nice, nice streets and nice buildings and nice parks, beautiful, just like a beautiful red apple, But you go inside and it's rotten. It's like Palo Alto. People want to live in Palo Alto. It's one of the most expensive places to live. Everything's so nice, but it's rotten. The youth are committing suicide because of the pressure. 4 times more than any other place in the country. So externally it appears nice, but you go inside. So we're trying to go inside, not just polish. If you polish the apple, they put wax on the apples, right? Make it look nice, and then polish, make it look nice. But then you go inside. So Prabhupada came to give an internal cleansing to America. An internal cleansing. Go to the heart. And it's happened. Not as much as we would like, but it's happening. Anything else? Anything from our internet audience? Okay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai. It's great. Vijaya Prabhu ki
Jai.
jai. Let's thank Prabhu by loudly chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.